Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Cinema Recall podcast. And we are going to be playing this for you.
From the art house to the multiplex, physical media, and streaming. Welcome to the Cinema Recall podcast. Here are your hosts, the Vern and Ashley.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cinema Recall podcast. I am the Vern. Ashley Urach is not here today, all right? She's very busy, folks. She has her own business. She has kids. It's really difficult to get her away from that to talk about movies, especially movies that she didn't really want to see. But I have with me one of the hosts here of the Collateral Cinema podcast, Ashley Chancellor. Hello, Ashley. How you doing today, buddy?
Great. I'm glad there's still an Ashley here.
Yes, 100%. Yes, there's always good to have an Ashley around here. Welcome. I believe this is your first time being on our show, and I'm extremely excited to have you on here.
Yeah, man. It's been great having you over on our show on Collateral Cinema. We did Silent Hill and what else?
Lost Highway.
Lost Highway. Yep. Those were both great episodes.
We are going to be talking about a video game movie. Funny you did mention Silent Hill, because that was an excellent video game movie. That is probably one of my favorite video game movies ever. Like top.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. The one we're talking about here, not so good. I don't think it's as terrible as people make it out to be. It's not the worst than ever, but it is still very bad. We are talking about the movie Borderlands. It just came out not too long ago. Written and directed by Eli Roth, starring Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, and Ariel Gaines, whatever her name is. I just cannot remember her name right now.
Ariana Greenblatt?
Thank you, Ariana Greenblatt. And it's a story about this bounty hunter played by Blanchett, and she has to rescue this girl because she is the magical key that will unlock this vault where all this alien technology and riches are being made for this. Before we do get talking about the movie here, I have to ask you, Ashley, have you played the game before?
Yes, somewhat. Not very much. I think the one I played the most into was Borderlands 2. And I own all of them. In prep for this episode, I actually hopped back on to Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 3 and kind of played through the intro again, and I was vibing with it. I've always liked the game series. From what I have played, I appreciate the pop culture references, the humor, something notably absent from this movie. You gave me a choice between this and Alien Romulus, and I ended up picking this despite the fact that I knew it was going to be bad, because it's a good opportunity for me to kind of rep both podcasts that I do, Collateral Cinema movie podcast and Collateral Gaming video game podcast. In fact, we're thinking of maybe doing a collab ourselves on this, maybe over the next week or two. But yeah, I gotta say, as somebody who has played the games a little bit and actually enjoyed them, this very severely missed the mark. I think it was interesting that you said it's not as bad as I expected, because I felt the same way. Like, I thought it would be bad in an interesting way. Like, maybe we might have like something that's kind of so bad it's good on our hands.
Sure.
And it just wasn't. It was just bad in an uninteresting way. Just generally incompetent and kind of bland and tropey.
Yeah.
So I came out of it disappointed.
I was disappointed too. It was just very mediocre. And I was really hoping that cast would camp things up a little bit, because you got these two Academy Award winning actors in this, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Cate Blanchett, who were just a year before this movie came out. They were at the Oscars. Each of them promoting their own movies. Cate Blanchett with Tar, and Jamie Lee Curtis with Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's so weird to see Cate Blanchett do this role. But this was made back in 2021. That's when the movie was being made, and everyone was just getting out of COVID, and actors not working well. And I know I've heard like statements from Cate Blanchett saying that I just wanted to do something fun that didn't have a lot of thinking power to it though, and just get paid because she did work previously with Eli Roth in that movie, The House and with the Clocks on its Walls, which I have not seen, but I'm kind of curious to watch that one because that's also like a PG rated Eli Roth movie. And it's very weird, especially if you know the name Eli Roth, because he did like Hostel and The Green Inferno and Knock Knock, and to have him go and do this sort of like family picture, it's
Mm-hmm.
different and strange. It's almost like when Robert Rodriguez started making kids films, just not something you expect that to see.
Okay.
And I do think Eli Roth is a competent director, but this is also a movie that was made in the studio system. I guess there was another screenwriter attached to this, but then he didn't like the way that his script was going, so he dropped his name out of the project. I heard that from the Real Spoilers podcast. Might check the episode out on them with that. But yeah, just when it and you played the game, and the game had different things for it though. So like I watched a little bit of the intro of the first game. So it's a first person shooter. Um, but you talk about the humor. The humor didn't quite match. Can you explain a little bit more about the humor at all?
Yeah, so one thing I noticed while watching this was that uh, not a single joke landed. Like, you could tell every time they were attempting to do something, and it kind of felt like at times they were trying to do something that kids might find funny. I don't know if kids actually found this funny or not. I was in a theater with, like, I don't know, a total of 7 people, and I don't think I heard so much as a chuckle the entire time. Uh, it was just so unfunny. Like, it's so weird. How do you have a movie with both Jack Black and Kevin Hart and it just not be funny? Like, I just don't understand that. And like, you even have characters like Claptrap, who plays the comedic role in the games, and he's meant to be kind of annoying and grating, and that's the point of his character, but he's sort of endearing. Here, I just didn't get that endearing quality from him. I just like, I just felt like, yeah, he's just kind of there, and I don't really want him to be. I don't know why they use Jack Black of all people, who's otherwise a talented actor. I just
Yeah.
a weird. I thought all of the casting choices in this are weird. Cate Blanchett just looks bored in this, maybe embarrassed,
Really?
but
Oh,
she honestly did the best.
yeah, I was saying, I don't think she looked. I don't know if she looked bored or not, but I do know that she's a very professional, and she will do
Yeah.
her role as best as she can. Because this is definitely a lower tier Kate Blanchett. This is Kate Blanchett just doing like her paycheck. I'm like, look, I've got
Yeah.
no other movies coming out right now. I need to make my house payment. I'll do this movie. I worked with Eli Roth before. It's just gonna be a simple thing to do. I know when she read the script for this, she's probably like, okay, I do not have to put any commitment or work on this at all. All right, I can take a break. I can go on vacation. What? Jamie Lee Curtis is gonna be here? Fuck, I'm gonna have a fun time. Hang out with Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'll just go on vacation. All right, just something simple, fun to do. Because I know when Kate Blanchett really puts her all in. You know, when she played like Queen Elizabeth, or when she played the big role in Tar, her most recent nomination. She played Katharine Hepburn and The Aviator. So I know she does do a lot of work into the characters she portrays. And in this one, she's just going to be like, this is based on a video game. There's no other actors that played this. And being the fact that Kate Blanchett is like in her 50s and could be kind of in an action movie is kind of endearing and kind of cool. Same thing with Jamie Lee Curtis, because the characters in the video game, and stop me if I'm wrong there, Ashley, but I believe the characters are a lot younger. They're like in their 20s and
Yeah.
30s.
I was going to say that Kate Blanchett's a great actress. I don't know if she was the right pick for Lilith, from what I know about the character.
Oh, sure.
Is that she's supposed to be much younger, and it just seems kind of random. Same thing with Kevin Hart. And what's weird about Kevin Hart is that, he's portraying the character Roland, who he doesn't really look that much like, short of having the same skin color. And
Yeah.
you would think that if you're going to cast Kevin Hart, you would do so to kind of use some of his qualities, which is, that he's funny. and they don't even do that. He plays this role very serious. So it's honestly kind of bewildering, some of the cast choices in this. You mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know why she was actually in this film. You could have taken her character out and nothing would have changed.
Yeah.
You know?
I, and I imagine too. I mean, these actors are not cheap. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis just won the Oscar,
Right?
so I'm pretty sure her price range went up there. But then they did too. Like I said before, this was made in 2021, so this is before they started having their big career things happening with their features of Tar and Everything Everywhere All at Once. So yeah, I can imagine Kevin Hart being in this movie because I don't think Kevin Hart really has done much big blockbuster movies really. Same thing. I don't know if they did it. I know it because this did come out. Wait, Jack Black was not a Super Mario, but it was a big movie that Jack Black did before this. Did he? Oh, it was Super Mario Brothers. He played Bowser.
Yes, yeah, Mario Brothers, which was a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
Loosely based on the franchise, but like I thought it was a lot of fun. Very
Well,
different from the '80s one.
Bob Hoskins ones. Oh,
I have a
I
soft spot in my heart for that, though, and along with one of movies like '95 Mortal Kombat or even Street Fighter, which I just watched this morning.
oh, you funny too. I watched that one just like yesterday, and
Yeah.
Street Fighter. I got to talk really quickly about Street Fighter. Directed by Stephen E. Jizawa. Written directed by Stephen E. Jizawa. Stephen E. Jizawa wrote like 48 Hours, and he wrote Die Hard, and a bunch of other great movies as well. Um, all I know the most about Street Fighter is that most of the budget of that movie went into Jean Claude Van Damme's coke habit. Uh, the studio demanded that they made a gym because Jean Claude Van Damme wanted to like work out a bunch of times, so they actually built a gym in the location they
Really?
were shooting the film at. Yeah, uh,
That's
it,
that's crazy. I thought Raul Julia was great. I mean, and that was his
oh
final performance. Dude was literally dying while he was filming this, and he delivered
yeah,
an A+ performance.
I mean, gosh, you're not wrong about that. I mean, he totally just owns everyone in that movie, and he was very sick. I mean, he was weak when he was doing that performance there. So
Yeah.
yeah, my favorite moment of that movie is when he's talking to Chun Li, played by Min Na Wen, and he's
Mhm.
like, "When Bison visited your town, it changed your life, but for me, it was a Tuesday." And I'm like, "Oh
The
damn,
coldest line. That is just the coldest line. I
damn,
fucking love
own that shit, all right?" Oh
it. Yeah. Nothing that clever in Borderlands. Nothing that
no,
just. I came out of the experience just like, man, it's just kind of like I don't
yeah.
really remember anything. There was nothing memorable about it. Like I said, I none of the jokes landed. Nothing was funny, and I didn't feel any sort of emotion. I think I fell asleep for about a minute halfway through.
Oh, I sure did too. Because you're right, it is very bland. It felt like the filmmakers just saw the poster art of the game and typed it into a computer, and then, all right, make me a script. Because everything, all the
I mean,
dialogue feels very generic. It does feel like it was written with
yes.
AI.
It might be because if you go look, the screenplay changed hands, I think, at least a couple times, and ended up with Joe Crombie, whose name cannot be found anywhere else. So that may very well be a pseudonym.
Yeah. You know?
Because Craig Mazin had originally been attached to the screenplay, so some people were thinking that Joe Crombie was just a pseudonym for him, or whatever poor schmuck actually ended up having to write this, or maybe it was just AI. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it could be too. And the last name you mentioned, I believe he had a connection with the Last of Us TV show. I believe he wrote some episodes for that.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and yeah,
And that
you're
was
right.
good. That was another. That's what's interesting is that we've had so many good video game adaptations lately. Last of Us, Fallout,
Mhm.
and then we get this. This feels like this wouldn't have been out of place a few years ago, which I guess makes sense. They've been developing it for a few years, so.
I get the notion too in watching it that they really wanted to like maybe try to harken back to maybe the early type of video game movies with like Double Dragon or whatnot before this one might come out there. I have to ask you this: if you were like 8 to 12 years old, would part of you enjoy this? Because I'm going to be taking my nephew to see this movie because he saw trailers and he's like really into it.
Yeah.
My nephew is a big fan of Transformers, Rise of the Beast, and he loves all those movies. So I imagine for like a younger person, you might enjoy this vaguely there because he's not a film person, but he just likes games and you know.
I I think as a kid, I wouldn't be so critical if I'd watched this when I was younger. I probably would have liked it, just especially if you're a kid that's a fan of the games. You're going to see all these little references, and credit where credit is due. I mean, they do have a lot of little references throughout, some of which I picked up on. The aesthetic is fits. I mean, it looks like Pandora. The sets, look like they were taken out of the game, and then the characters, as far as the costumes go and everything, look like they come from that world. And so on that part, it's fine. The action scenes are serviceable. The effects are fine.
Yeah.
It's weirdly edited, but other than that, I mean, I think as a kid, I feel like this might be enjoyable. I don't know. Um,
I think
I
I
did.
think
I did. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I would agree with that too. If you're a kid, I probably would have enjoyed watching this if it came on TV. That's what this reminds me of. It reminds me
Yeah.
of like being on your couch Saturday afternoon after all the Saturday morning cartoons and the wrestling was over with. They would probably say next Borderlands coming up there. Like I remember back when family had HBO and like Showtime, and you had movies like Explorers and like Gremlins and whatnot, and like Red Dawn. This would be a movie that would be playing like right between there, like between like Splash and Volunteers or something like that, or Top Secret. I can see this movie being played between Splash and Top Secret, Borderlands, and it's a movie that just comes on and you watch it just because you don't feel like going and changing the channel, and it's just there. There's no anything else great, but you watch it because it's there.
You kind of like the Transformers movies.
Yes, very much. Which I said before, my nephew is a huge fan of those movies. He will defend
Yeah.
them up and down, sideways, front ways. Yes.
So yeah, if you enjoy those kinds of movies, if you like those, then yeah, sure. I mean, this is. I can imagine that some people probably did sit next to people that actually laughed at some of these jokes or got excited about it. Like there's someone out there that's gonna enjoy this movie. I think for the majority of fans of the games and for the majority of casual moviegoers that are adults, it's just not interesting.
Yeah.
Which should be no surprise. I mean, you've got Avi Arad attached to this. He pretty much ruins everything he
Well,
touches.
it's so weird too that this actually got a theatrical release because I figured something like this would be better streaming at home
Yeah,
than it would be
yeah.
a.
This might work better as a TV series, and then maybe you actually have time to actually flesh out some of these characters that you just don't care for in the feature film, unless you happen to have some semblance of an understanding of who they are in the games, which I did. But even then, I'm just like, why do I care? There's one plot revelation that comes towards the end where you think, I don't know how much you wanted to go into spoilers or not, but there's one character you think is the Keymaster, but it's another one, and if you played the games, it's not really a surprise. So
Sure.
there's
Well,
that.
I just think the whole thing of her trying to find like this chosen one is very cliche and generic because if you watch a lot of movies, you know that sort of trope is always going to be, the person that you're following. It's just always going to be that way. And so I'm pretty sure when you're watching this, I mean, if you're one of those people that don't watch a lot of movies, it may seem like a surprise to you. But if you're like us and watch a lot of movies, you'll recognize that trope like right away. Being that we're having, fuck it, I'm going to review spoilers right now. All right, and I'll make sure I'll post our show description about spoilers. But yeah, it's a surprise. Cate Blanchett, the person who has been narrating the story the whole time and is describing everything to you. Oh my gosh, she's the chosen one. What? No way. She's the Star Lord. I cannot believe this. wow, it's like you just copy and paste things from Guardians of the Galaxy into this
Yep.
movie. Wow, surprisingly,
It
it's funny
tried
too.
so hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy or Suicide Squad. Like I think that's the dynamic they were going for. But with those movies, I'm talking, of course, about the latter Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
The ones, any of these movies that were done by James Gunn, the difference with those was that those characters had heart. You felt
Yes.
emotionally attached to them. They had chemistry and they worked off each other. There's none of that here.
Oh,
There's no time for it.
yeah, and I don't know for sure if Eli Roth was like working on this story for a while, or if he was just kind of push like a gun for hire to do this because hey, man's got to work. So and he wants to finance his big other horror project. He's got to do these big studio projects as well to fund things. So I don't know for sure, but yeah, I feel like there was no commitment to the characters. Like I believe James Gunn actually worked to try to get Guardians of the Galaxy. He wanted to actually make that
Mhm.
his movie, and that is a James Gunn movie. If you watch movies like Super or Slither, and then going into Guardians of the Galaxy, it seems like it'd be an odd switch. But those are the movies. All the characters are just so well lovable
Yeah.
and the cast works well together that it can go into Guardians of the Galaxy. Because yeah, I mean it's a big tentpole movie for James Gunn, who was working with Choma before he did those movies, and
Yeah.
uh, I love the fact that he gives support and love back to his indie community. That's why he had like Lloyd Kaufman in the Guardians movies because he knew
Yeah, that was
where he came,
great.
where he came from that, and that's just absolutely like brilliant. That's a guy that actually cares about his cast. I know he cares about a lot of his cast members too, because like I said before, he did have both Cate Blanchett and Jack Black in a previous movie. He's
Mhm.
working with his cinematographer and editor of other films that were made by him. So I know he's got like a love of filmmaking, and this is one of those studio temple movies that just failed. And it's a movie that you can watch and be like, all right, I understand the story of it. I can watch the characters, but you're fully on autopilot when you're watching it. You're just watching it because you're watching stuff happening on screen. You're not invested in any of the characters. You just feel bored and unexcited. I could understand what was going on. I just didn't care. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And it felt like major parts of the story were removed, and maybe that's why Kate Blanchett is narrating. By the way, why was she narrating? Because the one consistent element that I've seen in the games is that they always start out with a narration from Marcus, who shows up in the film very briefly and then does nothing else. And his casting was actually good. He worked. He's just only there for like a single minute. But it was odd that that they had her doing the opening narration. It just like I was like, wait, this is a Borderlands movie, and you didn't get like the one thing right that you do in like every Borderlands story, which is open up with a narration from Marcus.
yeah, that's a good point too. It would be better to have him be the storyteller. And I have to ask you that too.
Yeah.
Is that character more prevalent in the game than he is in the movie?
He does the opening narration in all of
Yeah.
them, and he's the but he usually shows up in the intro, and he's the weapons manufacturer, so you hear his voice all the time whenever you're like buying weapons. And it looked like they had one of the references they had in the buses that they had a terminal that looked just like it came out of the games. That looked kind of cool, but I don't know if he gets involved more heavily in the story because I haven't played that far into all of the games, but it definitely felt like he was just like a box to check in this film. Like, okay, let's just throw him in at the beginning a little bit. Not even do the opening narration. Not even do those really cool intros that every Borderlands games does as well. Where they have like some badass song playing, like "No Rest for the Wicked,"
Oh,
or
no.
and like all the characters come out and you get the little name card for each character. Like they could have done that, and they could have introduced the characters that way, and done like their on-screen actor credits in the opening or the end credits. And so there's so many missed opportunities. Like that would have been fun
Yeah.
to see on
Uh,
screen.
I also noticed too that when I'm watching the movie, there's probably like a lot of elements for some like really kind of like gory action because I do know that they originally shot this movie to be made with an R rating, especially during the sequence where the character of Tiny Tina
Hmm.
is blowing people up, and she says, "We're gonna make it rain with your body parts." And I'm sure an R-rated version of that would have been very cool to see. Though, but the fact that studios got involved, they want to make it PG-13, which is so kind of weird. Being the fact that this was released after Deadpool and Wolverine, which is like the biggest R
Yeah.
rated. Uh, Kids and parents are going to see that movie, and it's R rated. I'm sure studios were like, we need to find a PG-13 movie so that everyone can enjoy and see. But with Deadpool Wolverine making big, huge budget blockbuster, and I know parents are taking their kids to see that movie, I feel like the whole PG-13 window is just, is that still a marketable thing anymore? I don't know.
Well, and I can kind of see where they were going. I understand why they would tone it down to a PG-13. I mean, the games were M-rated,
Yeah.
so it would make sense to have an R-rated movie. But if you're trying to bring more kids into the movie to see it, which it feels like they were kind of going after the younger demographic with this, I can understand why they would lower. I mean, this is kind of the same logic with Mortal Kombat '95, and
Mhm.
that was well before you could really have done that movie with an R rating.
Yeah.
Um, so I understand, but at the same time, you said like we've seen that you can do a successful movie with an R rating in that and market it with characters that are typically uh, the demographic is children or younger. So like it would have been. I wonder if maybe this movie might have had some more substance if they could have at least gone for some of the gory kills and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But I also don't blame them for going with the PG-13. I don't think that was the movie's real issue. I think it was
No.
just
Oh,
you
it was a
know
bad script. It was a
yeah.
bad script, and actors. I'm not blaming all the rating of why the movie got bad at the box office. All right, that's not has anything to do with it at all. The movie could have been like rated G. All right, it has nothing to do with that. It was just a
Yeah.
bad, mediocre script. And I'll admit though I like the movie because I like Cate Blanchett wearing like tailor outfits. All right, that just that appeals to the film connoisseur in me because I think Cate Blanchett is a beautiful woman and I will watch her in anything. All right,
Oh hell
how
yeah.
bad it is, I don't care. I think she's great. And that's probably the only reason why I saw this movie because I'm like Cate Blanchett. Really? Wow, wow. What bet did she lose to make this movie? No, I'm kidding. But
And she was
yeah.
great in Marvel too. In the Thor Ragnarok. I
Oh
fucking love
God,
her.
yeah,
Lord
Elena.
of the Rings.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, that is like her in the headgear and the outfit. I'm like, look, I
Nani.
if I would totally I would get with you, Helena, even if it meant my destruction and the whole world's destruction, just to have you. Oh, goddamn right. All right.
Speaking of Marvel, Jamie Lee Curtis had that whole controversy recently with her criticism of Marvel films, and everybody was just like, "You're in fucking Borderlands." Like, how are you gonna
Yeah.
critique Marvel movies when you're in, you know, when you're in this? Like, you know,
I don't think I know about that whole debacle with her Marvel. Uh,
yeah, there's the whole like Hollywood kind of. It's almost like it's the cool thing to hate on Marvel movies now, and I get it. Some of them are going to be, or some of them are more shallow than others, but it's just like you got to
like
understand like where your place is. Like
yeah, and sometimes
I
you
mean,
like just
the last big thing you did before this was Halloween Ends, right? Which also was not good.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, uh, I hate the fact too of actors want to like, or actors or musicians that have to like shit on other musicians. But I also think too that I believe the media kind of take these out of context, and if people ask them, "Hey, what do you think about this singer? What do you think about this?" and they're saying, "I'm not a fan," and it blows up to saying that this person hates all Marvel movies and these people that watch the Marvel movies are dumb. I think I
Yeah.
saw like a quote from Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth saying that she's not a fan of Taylor Swift, and it got blown up to this whole thing where she like hates Taylor Swift and she hates all her fans, and it wasn't the case at all. She's just not a fan of her music, and that's fine. We don't have to be the same fan of everyone else, and sometimes I just feel that things get
No,
blown up.
Jamie Lee Curtis is allowed to have a criticism. Like I
Sure.
don't think it should have blown up as much as it did, but it was just kind of funny because it was like, okay, but you're in Borderlands.
Borderlands, that's right, yeah.
This has no more depth than like this was. I mean, the other movie that came out more recently and was phenomenally better than this was a Marvel movie. You know,
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine is the best movie I've seen this year, and this came
Sure.
in right after in stark contrast. It was like
Yeah.
it was just it was a little awkward.
Yeah. Very awkward because you had a movie that had some good jokes and some good chemistry right there. And I know I've had my issues with Deadpool Wolverine, but I had more enjoyment with that than I did with this. Mainly because in Borderlands, you just feel bored. You just don't feel uninspired. It's a movie that you just have on. It's a movie that you have on in the background, and then that's it. You're not really engaged in it at all. All right. We're gonna finish up our conversation on Borderlands, but I do want to take a quick break and then come back and just talk really briefly about what you think are the best video game adaptation movies. But before we do go, what grade would you give Borderlands on 1 to 5?
A 2 out of 5.
Yeah,
1 for having a serviceable action scenes and you know and you know a number of references to the games and whatnot, you know, enough little Easter eggs for people to get at least a little excited over. 2 for having, you know, Cate Blanchett and Kevin Hart be okay,
yeah,
even if I wasn't attached to their characters. At least, you know, they delivered a performance. So I'd give this a 2 out of 5. Not the worst thing I've seen. Probably the worst thing I've seen in the theaters this year.
fair
But
enough.
I
Yeah.
haven't gone to the theaters that many times either. So
That's fair. All right. Yeah, I'm the same thing with you too. I'm about to give it 2 stars, and that's mainly just because of Kate Blanchett. And I thought she's the only character in this that actually looked like she was trying just a little bit. And she was having fun. She was making a movie, just having fun, just being on vacation, hanging out with their friends. And I'm like, yeah, you go on that. That's epic here. All right, we will be right back after I play a quick ad spot from another famous podcast show that you should definitely check out.
We gotta take a short break, but Cinema Recall will be right back after these ad spots.
It's time to feel the rage. Join us on Film Rage, where we talk movies, current releases, coming attractions, streaming, and classic films as well. Directors and actors beware, as you cannot hide from the rage. My name is Bryce, and I'm part of the Film Rage crew, which also includes Jim.
Hey, hey.
And Murray.
Yo. Why is it you always talk all the time? I can't
'Cause I
understand
got
why
the
your
sweet,
voice
sweet
is so...
voice.
This is the Merman, the voice of reason. These two can't agree on anything most of the time. Some movies are Mondo, some are just suck. Every week something is going to make us rage. Join us every Wednesday and
Feel the rage.
Get access to episodes early, uncut video footage, and bonus shows by becoming a Patreon member. Go to patreon.com/Cinema Recall Pod. And for just $3 a month, you will help support our independent podcast. Thank you so much. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. Cinema Recall Podcast. The Vern here, sitting here with Ashley, Chancellor from Collateral Cinema Podcast. Quick quiz time, Ashley. Do you recognize that tune?
it sounds familiar, but I
So-
can't place it.
Back in like the mid 80s, it was playing on HBO before their primetime movie happened. Their big world premiere movie that happened. That was what they played. If you ever watched movies back from like 83 to like 89, I think it was 90, something like there. That's the tone they used, and it always started
Okay.
with like a view of the world and a camera just going in and diving between like streets and suburbs, and then it goes upon like this almost a circular spaceship, and yeah, it's a long intro. It's a very long intro, and I freaking love it. It's like almost like its own little movie inside itself right there. It's epic. And I kind of wish that they would go back to like making those, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm here for an event. Holy crap. And then you realize, oh shit, it's Arthur 2 on the rocks. Damn it. All right. Oh. But
Nice.
we're back here right now, and I just wanted to just touch base with you about what you think is your favorite video game movies, I mean, or your favorite adaptations, and also what are some games that you would like to be made into movies?
So we mentioned Silent Hill already.
Yep.
That's a very good video game adaptation. I also mentioned Super Mario Brothers. I like both of those versions for different reasons.
Sure.
I feel the same way about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 95 just perfectly captures that like spirit of the games besides the goriness. But also, it Mortal Kombat 2021, I think, I managed to add that like goriness and kind of capture the essence of the more recent games. I like the original Resident Evil. I think it's a lot. The first one, even though it has almost nothing to do with the games, it's a lot of fun. And of course, like The Last of Us, fantastic game, fantastic adaptation. I'm trying to think of anything else that was just like
So real
really
quick
good.
though, we got mentioned about Resident Evil because one of our Patreon members, Danny Roberts, he gave me one of his like library accounts, and it has all the Resident Evil movies on there. So I am tempted to watch them because I've only seen the first two, but I haven't seen them in a long time. But I have not seen the other ones because I was not much of a fan of the first one. The second one got a little bit better, but I'm very curious to watch the whole series because there's like five of them, and they made like an animated movie as well. So I'm very kind of curious to go back and rewatch them to see if they're got any better at all. You mentioned before Silent Hill, and I really think that was great because it matches the game very well. They took a lot of attention. I have not seen the sequel for Silent Hill that they made because it did not have. It didn't have the cast members to it though, and I saw trailers for it. I'm like, you did get the original director or like the screenwriter involved, and it just felt too much like a studio feature. And I'm like, but not a studio feature in a good way. So didn't bother with that. But yeah, I like the Super Mario Brothers. Oh, Mortal Kombat. What I like best about Mortal Kombat is because I saw that before I saw Enter the Dragon. Because, come on now, I'm a kid when the game came out, so the movie was out. I saw it in theaters, and then we rented it, and then my dad's like, this is a lot like Enter the Dragon. Have you seen that movie before? I'm like, no, I don't even think I heard of it. And then he showed me Enter the Dragon afterwards, and I was like, this is so much better. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I never heard of this movie before. Because, yeah, that Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee, but it kind of follows the same sort of like storyline. Fighters that come onto an island, and they have to defeat a bad guy. So, yeah, I love it for doing that. Sometimes I love movies because they will introduce me to other movies. So,
yes.
Go on that.
Yeah. Movies. There's one more video game movie I'll mention.
Okay.
That to me is very good. A lot of people may not have heard of this, but Takashi Miike's Ace Attorney adaptation absolutely captures the spirit of the games, and I fucking love those games. So,
what's it called?
Ace Attorney. It's a video game series from Capcom about lawyers. Kind of a visual novel adventure, and Takashi Miike, the legendary Japanese director, did a film adaptation of it, and not a lot of people know about it.
Shit. There is one movie that I think captures video games very well, even though they're not based on a video game. One is Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The other one is Run Lola Run.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Have you heard of it?
Say it again?
Run Lola Run.
Run. Yeah, I don't even think I've heard of it.
Okay, so Run Lola Run came out in 1997 or 98, directed by Tom Ticker, starring Franca Potente, who you'll know her as being the girlfriend of Matt Damon in The Bourne Identity. And the
Okay.
story, it's about this girl whose boyfriend lost a lot of money to some gangsters. And she has to try and find a way to deliver this large amount of money to him in 20 minutes before the gangsters find him and kill him. And it's told in like three sort of like segments where she's running to try and find money, and then stuff happens that either stops her or something changes, and then the movie kind of restarts again with her trying to get the money a different way. It's told like three times, and it reminds me of a video game where each time you play a game and you die or something happens that stops you from completing your quest, you have to go back and try again. And she makes different choices each time.
Yeah.
And it has that same element too, that try and repeat. It's very cool. It's got this pulsating techno score, and when watching it, you feel like you are watching a video game movie. And Lola's got like this wild red hair. It is just great. It's in German, but it's just absolutely wonderful. It's like not even 90 minutes, but it just goes by so fast. It is just blazing. The visuals are just astounding. It's wonderful. Like right from the start of the movie, it just is this fast pace, and it feels very much like you're playing a video game.
Oh, that's cool. I can see what you're saying. Like if you apply the similar concept to Edge of Tomorrow, where he just keeps trying again and again. But then you could go back and say the same thing about Groundhog Day.
Yes, I know, right? Very much so. Yes, that is true for sure. Yeah, but we're getting close to our end here. Our episode talking about Borderlands and video games. Definitely check out Collateral Cinema and check out Collateral Gaming. Tell the listeners out there, Ashley, just about what sort of things you have happening for Collateral Cinema and Collateral Gaming, and just let us know what you have going on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vern. So with Collateral Cinema, we did just get our episode out on Deadpool and Wolverine. And that was a lot of fun. Next, we should have our Miike-versary special on Takashi Miike's Happiness of the Katakuris. So that'll be our anniversary episode this year. And then next season, we'll be opening up with Terrifier, I believe.
Oh, very nice.
Starting out our spooky month, October. Collateral Gaming, again, bringing it back to Ace Attorney, and I brought it back to Takashi Miike as well.
Sure, yes.
We should be recording part 2 of our episode on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Bo and I have been having a blast playing through those 2 games, and then we'll be ending our season with 007 Nightfire. Next season, we'll be starting up with the original 1993 Doom and the 2016 reboot. Kind of a 2-part on both of those. So, Collateral Cinema Season 8 and Collateral Gaming Season 7 will be starting up in October and September, respectively, if everything goes according to plan. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We also do have Collateral Let's Play on YouTube. We have that on the Collateral Cinema YouTube channel right now, but I'd like to get that over on the Collateral Gaming channel as well, where Bo and occasionally others, such as myself, will hop on and do a little commentary on a game. And also help us rise up the ranks on Good Pods, and check out our Patreons as well if you want to donate.
Very cool. I'll make sure I post links to your website and areas and our show notes. Definitely go check out Collateral Cinema. Check out the episodes I was on. Silent Hill and Lost Highway, because they were probably the best ones there ever. No, I'm kidding. All the episodes are really cool, and I really enjoyed them very much. I enjoyed your recent conversation and Deadpool Wolverine, and your statement for that made me want to go relook at it again. And because I did not see the end credits of it, because I had to get to work right away, so I left right when the movie ended, and so I didn't get to see all the homages they made and tributes to other early Marvel action movies. So I will definitely go back and watch that again, because I'm sure anytime I watch a movie, there's always going to be something I miss So, and I like to give movies another shot so I can make my opinion more valid of it. But yes, thank you for being on there. I do let people all know there that Cinema Recall is taking a little bit of hiatus after this episode posts. I do know that if you are a Patreon member, there will be episodes up on our Patreon page, and there will be some bonus episodes over on our YouTube, but our audio page will be blank for a little bit, at least until October. So please check out all of our past episodes at cinemarecall.net. We have a whole slew of great things. I'm so close right now, folks, of finishing up our Reservoir Dogs audio drama that I'm doing with an all-female cast, and I really want to concentrate more on that. Plus, I'm a person who, owns a house, and I need to pay my bills and make money, and I need to work more hours, and that doesn't give me a chance to do this. But if you're a Patreon user, patreon.com/cinemarecallpod, that gives more money for us to do more of these shows. So right now, I do want to give a big shout out and thank you to our wonderful Patreon members because they help give money, and I love them very much. All right, I love them regardless of money, but I love you more because you give us money. So thank you very much to these people. Jeanette Mickenham, she's found on Twitter at AKA Jeanette. Jen McQuaid from Shocked and Applaud. I miss Shocked and Applaud. Come back, all right, please. All right. Tell me what we need to do to get you back in here. But thank you, Jen. I want to thank Jason Soto from Rabbit Hole Podcast. I know that we talked about having Cinema Recall on part of Rabbit Hole, and we're still kind of working that out. But in any case, there, Rabbit Hole Podcast is great. Thank you, Jason Soto, for your support. I got to thank Matt and Ashley from Mashley at the Movies. Thank you very much. They recently, I believe, recorded an episode on Alien Romulus. They also did an episode on Borderlands, so check that out as well. And then I thank my buddy Donnie Roberts over on Twitter at Unreal Goals. He wrote the Deep Sea Anthologies and has been a big supporter. He's given me his Movies Anywhere account, and I've been watching movies from that, and I love it. I saw Amadeus, the director's cut. Beautiful movie. I've never seen the director's cut before, but that was really cool. So thank you very much, Donnie. And then I got to thank his sister, Linda Castro from Bed Knobs and Broomflits. Thank you very much, Linda. And lastly, Steve W. Steve, you don't have a website or really anything on social media, but thank you so much, Steve, for being a supporter of our podcast and whatnot. Like I said before, go to cinemarecall.net, view us on there. That's all I got to say right now. Big thank you to our wonderful guest here, Ashley Chancellor from Collateral Cinema Podcast, and we will see you soon. Any last words to say, Ashley?
Don't waste your time and your money on Borderlands. Go watch Deadpool and Wolverine instead.
Or better yet, I've been watching just the gameplay of Borderlands, and I've been having more fun with that.
Yeah, go play the games. Seriously,
Yeah.
the games are a lot of fun.
No? Well, but if you're like me and you can't afford a game, I'll watch them on YouTube because I'm broke and I don't know. And plus, I'm horrible at games too. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I would die so fast. So, all right, later, everybody.